Taliban's shocking new law, women's voices banned in public. In a shocking escalation of its oppressive policies, the Taliban regime in Afghanistan has introduced a new series of vice and virtue laws that further strip women of their basic humanity. The most alarming aspect of these draconian measures is the ban on women's voices in public, effectively silencing half the population. According to the new laws, quote, whenever an adult woman leaves her home out of necessity, she is obliged to conceal her voice, face, and body. The latest decree goes beyond previous restrictions, now forbidding women from speaking in public, singing, or even reading aloud within their own homes. Women are also prohibited from looking directly at unrelated men and must be accompanied by a male chaperone when traveling. The laws extend to punishing taxi drivers who transport against transporting unaccompanied women. These new restrictions compound an already extensive list of bans on Afghan women. The Taliban tightens its grip on Afghan society, reintroducing practices like public flogging and stoning for adultery. The future of women and girls in the country looks increasingly bleak, with many describing the situation as gender apartheid. So, I mean, this is just inhuman. I mean, Armin, what was your reaction when you heard this?
I mean, I have some experience with this, but so you understand the logic, right, guys? Everybody, all the men and the lesbians in the live chat, can you confirm that listening to Susanna has made you all horny, like the voice, just listening to a woman, a
Okay,
female
as a
voice gets you aroused?
bisexual,
Oh, what?
like
No,
just listening to a woman talk is not arousing.
really? Nobody else? Nobody else? Like people in the live chat, you have not been sexually aroused just by listening to. So the logic Islamically is that this has happens to everybody, right? That if you a woman voice will make you horny, so you should just like not on the female voice should only be heard by the husband or the father or the brother, or else you're just going to lose yourself and just, like, I don't know, RAP the person, right? So this is for your own safety, to make sure that you other people don't hear your voice, right? um some people. Okay, so the comments in the live chat are very funny, but I mentioned you that when I was in Iran, right, my math teacher told me that he went to pick up his very very religious friend, and he wasn't home. Remember the story that I told you, that the wife was at the end of the door, at the other end of the door, and behind the door, and he said, like, yes, I forgot his name. Like, let's say Ahmed. Is Ahmed home? And she responded once saying, no, he's not home. And then she's like, do you know where he is? And then she responded. And then he asked, do you know when he's going to come back? And the third, I don't know, it was the third time or the fourth one. But then she spoke different. Like, she was like, how, like, I don't know, like she was speaking in her female tone that she's in somewhere, but then all of a sudden she had a the third time she was responding, or the third time or the fourth time, she went like, I don't know, like this, like some monstrous sound. She tried
Turns
to
into
make her
Gollum all
sound
of a
like,
sudden.
yes, she turns to Gollum or Batman or I don't know what, but she's like, she started talking in a different tone, and he was shocked, like, what the hell is happening here? Why did her voice turn like that? And he then realized that apparently this religious family is abiding their marja's recommendation to make sure that only the first, when you're talking to a man that is no mahram, means sinful to to be next to, the only first two or three, I don't remember, responses could be in your female voice, because if you continue talking to him, he might get aroused, so you have to change your voice into a manly voice or to a non-sexually arousing voice for you to be able to continue talking to him. So I remember this being some part of Islam. I'm looking to see if there's any hadith about this, but yeah, go on.
Which made me question. I was like, when it talks about, because I can't go read this in the original language, right? How this is described. because I when I heard this news, I immediately started to think about those examples you've given, Armin, about where people modulate their voice to make it unattractive, basically. I'm like, is that what they mean? Like, you have to conceal your voice, so maybe do something to change it. It's so strange, but it's so fascistic. Like, I mean, no surprise at all, but you literally are now banned from singing within your own home. You cannot even be caught reading out loud within your own home. Should, I don't know, the neighbors hear you or something. I mean, I don't even know what to describe this level of subjugation. It's approaching almost like chattel slavery or something. I don't even, cuz what else is left to you? It I really struggle to find the words to capture this level of restriction and illiberty. It's absolutely insane. Including, yeah, you're not even allowed to look directly at an unrelated man now by law. Um, I know, because I know that there are many people that practice that. Like, I had an ex-boyfriend who grew up in a very strict Muslim country, and he talked about when he moved to America, he literally struggled to look at women in the face for a while because he used to get beaten if he looked directly at a woman as a child. Um, and it's just mind-boggling. But what do you think about the people who were saying that the international community is not doing enough when it comes to Afghanistan, and that as countries begin to negotiate and do um kind of maybe dance around normalizing relationships with the Taliban, that this is those actions are exactly what is empowering the Taliban to take measures like this upon women.
What do they want the international community to do? I don't understand what they want the international community to do. Like, they want the international. I think there's a wand in the United Nations that they keep in a very in a locked chest, and when they open it, they could pick up the wand and they could wave it, and then the regime that they don't like, the entire world has agreed that they don't like it, would just whoop go away, and then international, like, liberal values, and the country becomes liberal and secular and has normal relationship with other countries, and all of a sudden they're going to respect human rights. Like, what do you want them to do? The greatest nation, the greatest army on the planet, spent 20 years there, and they weren't able to fix this. Then, if what the hell do you want them to do? Like, we have, and the nation with godlike powers use its entire military you know power in that region to be able to try to maintain order. This is a country that the Taliban is hegemon in that region. They are a reflection of the values of people there. What do you want other nation states to do? What do you think? You think that Afghanistan was at war with the liberal world order for 20 years, and fighting them with shooting them and bombing them didn't convince to back down. So what other force, what do you think the international community could come do to the Taliban, and the Taliban come saying like, okay, that might be too pressure, we will back down now? Like, these people were dying, they were willing to die for 20 years for their values. Do you think there's certain lever that you could pull right now, and then they're going to be like, okay, we're going to back down now? The problem is so much more foundational in Afghanistan. The problem is from the culture and the values within that society. The problem is not even the Taliban. The Taliban is a reflection of the disease that is already widespread in Afghanistan as a whole. No nations, no army is going to be able to fix that. You have to fix the. This is a multi-decade problem that you have to solve by, focusing on the people from the bottom up. There is no top-down approach to this. The solution is that there is no quick solutions. Like that's you have to realize that.
Yeah. I oh god, it's so bleak. It's so bleak. Um there's oh man, there's something I shouldn't say. Um I don't know. I the only thing that I can think of helping is trying to do like distance learning packages
Right.
and um
Inter satellite internet,
yeah,
long term.
satellite internet, distance learning packages, um covert um educational networks. Um but I mean that takes so much. That's a very heavy lift. That's a very heavy lift. The distance learning packages maybe not much. We already have BBC Persian, we have Radio Farda, we have Azadi Daily. Like these are mechanisms that are funded by the US and British government to help provide information to people across the world in different languages. Those could be emboldened and adapted in the way that are most easily consumed by the population. Um, frankly, that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Okay, so I actually went and found where this comes from to see if there's any hadith backing this. And actually, Susanna, it's actually worse.
Oh no.
Like it's
What does
worse in
that
the
mean?
sense that it's worse in the sense that it's apparently based on a Quranic verse. It's not even hadith.
Oh no, that is
So
worse.
y- that yeah. So this is apparently this is what it's based on. Quran chapter 33, verse 32, saying, "Wives of the Prophet, you are not like any other woman. If you are truly mindful of God, do not speak too softly in the case the sick at heart should lust after you, but speak in an appropriate manner." So that guy that I so this apparently the ruling by some at least I mean the Taliban is Sunni, so they have different justifications. But my experience then was based on a Shia marja. So apparently they would refer to this Quranic verse to justify what they were saying, and I bet you the Taliban is getting their justification for their ruling based on this Quranic verse as well. Yeah, Surah 33, chapter 32, people.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's very
Surah,
interesting because
sorry, ayah 32. Right, go on.
my understanding is that in terms of the burqa and covering the face, that there actually is not anything that legitimately mandates this. I remember looking into this a few years ago when I was trying to understand the logic behind the niqab, and there actually correct me if I'm wrong, Armin. My understanding is that there isn't actually real edicts from the major sources of Islamic understanding that mandate anything about the face. It's mainly clerics taking the logic of we should cover things that are full of temptation and just taking it to the conclusion of
Right. I mean,
basically
the same thing.
eliminating any humanity and individuality of a woman because it's all hypersexual apparently.
Yes. So, for example, in the modern legal sense, what people refer to is the spirit of the law. Have you ever heard that? The spirit of the law, like
Mhm.
trying to understand what was the point of this law and using that point to justify other laws, right? So that's what a lot of Islamic scholars try to do with the Quran, right? And this is why alcohol is banned because there's nowhere in the Quran that mentions a ban on alcohol. The Quran mentions banning wine, not alcohol. So technically, if you just wanted to follow the Quran, you should be able to drink beer, you should be able to drink vodka, you should be able to drink spirits, you know, tequila, because the Quran only says about wine. But then what the Islamic scholars did were like, obvious. Well, why did it? What was the problem with wine? Obviously, it was the alcohol. So, given that the alcohol was the problem, our conclusion is that all other alcoholic drinks should be banned as well, right? So that's how they get from
Mhm.
one command to the Quran to other commands. Right?
And some people interpret it differently to say, oh, it's actually not the alcohol itself that is wrong. It is the intoxication that's wrong. So it's not wrong unless you're becoming intoxicated and drunkenly because of it, and because that's the harmfulness of it. It's very
Well,
interesting.
that's the modern version of it. Throughout
Yeah.
throughout Islamic history, all Islamic schools of thought were like just a complete ban on alcohol until it was discovered that even if you bite an apple, there's some level of alcohol in there. So then they come like, okay, there needs to be a higher than certain percentage.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.